It's possible that these stones, very possible that these stones with all these images, elephants, horses, and all that kind of stuff, that's extinct animals, it's very possible that these stones are over 10,000 years old, which means that folks was living here on this spot over 10,000 years ago. So if that's possible, then it's possible that they were living here 25 to 30, maybe even 50,000 years ago. All of these stones have awesome images on them, but the outer layer of the stone is being taken back by Mother Nature. Let me show you an example. That's what happens to stuff. It slowly deteriorates and crumbles away. $20,000 to $50,000 years. A measly 15,000 years ago. Now that's all speculation, folks. It's not that cold outside right now, but I'm going to clean this stone with just some sand and Windex. And see what kind of little buffing I can do on it. I know this doesn't hurt it. It kind of makes the images show out better. It doesn't take away any of the color that's been soaked into the stone. But I'll do that. But as I said, I'm suspecting that this particular, and some more, are really, really old. I don't know how to prove it, but I'm going to clean this up. We're going to look at it. Joanna gave $5 for this at a yard sale. It had a missing finial and a crack right here. We're just being slow pokey about finishing it because we like to show some of these processes in the pottery repair video that we're making. But this whole body looked just like that. Listen real carefully to this. And this deterioration, leaching out of whatever, is the same as that. Now, when all the stain was removed like this one, I polished it with brass though, but that's what stones do when they get really, really old. Also, I'd like to mention that we have a customer that is just waiting for us to finish this piece, and they will pay us $350. It's a very rare Adams Rose pattern. Sort of book values around $750, but that's the kind of stuff we do besides that. I don't know what I like better. You really want to know what I like better, folks? I would like to finish the screenplay for the movie I'm writing. That's what I would like. Then when it's clean and really good and dry, I put a polymer coating on it. Good morning, folks. I am not riled up right now, but I feel like I need to pretend like I am so I can get across something that is really important to me. I wouldn't go over and over, say this over and over again if I didn't feel like it was an extremely important subject. Every stone here is a tool. Most of them have some of their original color. And nearly all of them has images on them. As I said, I've said this many times, but the only way I can get across and tell you how important it is to say it again and maybe get riled up about it. There's only two kinds of tools. They're cutting or abrasion. Uh, Axes, you have axes that have a cutting edge, like they're going to chop down something, some wood, green wood, I think. But the axe also is made in such a way that it has an abrasion in for maybe breaking up kindling or something. I'm not sure what all these things that they were making, but everything in their life, everything was made with tools. And these are tools. They're not cookie cutters. They don't look alike, because stones don't look alike. But they display the same kind of tool. A hammerstone is an abrasion tool. A grinding stone is an abrasion tool. A smoothing stone, polishing stone is an abrasion tool. And these tools come in not that many shapes. It's not that difficult. It's really not. For cutting, there's straight edges and curved edges, and also crescent shapes. For cutting means it takes a sharp edge. Here's an example. This is a drill. Cutting. This is a knife with that shape. Cutting. This is a knife with that shape. Cutting. And all of these are held very well, easily. There's tools that look like that, as if it's a 90-degree angle or something. But I truly don't believe that those folks were trying to make a bunch of 2x4s with square edges to build anything that they're building. Plus, there's pieces that I find no tool use, yet lots of carvings, so I think they're just art. But let me ramp on a little bit. This is a collection of abrasion tools. Let's grab one that's real easy. A crescent-shaped abrasion. They had to use that for something like that. Look at the edge and how the thing fits in your hand. It's an abrasion tool, crescent-shaped abrasion tool, possibly even a little cutting edge right here. But this one is an abrasion, sort of a cutting edge right there, but there's crescent shape. It's held to do something like that. This is an abrasion. Okay, let me say something real quick about these crescent shapes. These crescent shapes will have, especially the old ones, they'll have an elephant right here, and their trunks will entwine. You'll be able to find the ears. And when you look at the stone from that direction, it's highly likely that that elephant's head turns into a bird, and there's probably wings shooting off back here. But elephants, they're on these crescent-shaped tools. I see them everywhere. I see them in y'all's post. Crescent tool. For some reason, they needed that diameter. Crescent, abrasion, elephants. Over and over. These are tools that has both the crescent and it has both the cutting and abrasion on the same tool. That is a sharp little sharp edge. Another sharp edge. Abrasion right here. This is an abrasion right here. abrasion crescent. And this is a sharp crescent. This little elephant feller here, it has a sharp edge right there for some scraping, and a abrasion edge for sanding of some sort. And there's a little sharp edge. Now that's a straight edge, kind of like this, straight edge. So this tool has a straight edge, a crescent abrasion, and a crescent cutting. These tools are crescent cutting. I piled these up. Here's one that does that type of angle. Here's one, and these all just fall in your hand in the right way. Nice big crescent cutting. This one has a long cutting edge, and that seems a little bit like a sanding a bit. But they are either cutting or abrasion. They're tools. These are all tools. Little bitty tiny things like that. It's a little cutting crescent tool right there for some small work. And on that side, it's an abrasion tool. It's got an elephant on. This guy, it has a long cutting scraper and a crescent shape here and a human face. And this is the one that's the most awesome. It's got this thunderbird biting a snake. Here's a little cutting crescent. And up here, there's a little crescent for sanding. Maybe a little bit of cutting too. But this crescent shape, and they seem to all have an elephant on each end, and their trunks come together. And then in a different angle, that elephant turns into a bird up here. And they go with it. Look at all the intricate carvings on that little crescent-shaped cutting tool. I think I've ramped enough, but I'm going to say it again. You got to be able to recognize a tool. That's just part of the puzzle, and that's just part of the puzzle. Bye for now, folks. And another thing that I think is overlooked. It's overlooked, and it's so obvious. It's like you don't see it until you see it, and once you see it, then you go, yeah. These folks made images on tiny little things. Birds and elephants, snakes, turtles, bear. These images were made on tools that I think are maybe 15, 20,000 years old. And they're on these too. I mean, I'm assuming that they're much older than that. But those critters, this is an elephant with his trunk wrapped around that little hole, besides being a bird and a bunch of other stuff. How can I say this? How can I say this? This is kind of important. Well, these folks knew how to carve. There's little bitty. These are pretty good size, But I've shown you some stones that are much bigger. And the big ones, the little ones, all of these have about these same 6 or 7 critters that I can recognize. Doesn't matter how old it is. Birds and elephants are the most common. But Oh, how can I say this? Creek stain turned me on to this, and I'm pretty hyped about now because, let me start again. They carve on little things, medium-sized things, great big things. Of course, they carved on the mountains. I've been looking at mountain pictures lately. Uh, um, Somewhere in Nevada, there's a big old fish laying there by a lake, which I think the whole thing was an advertising sign. But whenever they show this, and they even call it the oldest pictograph in America, they show these images on the side of it that is carved down in here, and they go on and on about it. If they just back up away from it a little bit, they'd see that on those stones there's a gigantic elephant on one side, there's an upside down bird. There's so many images on these stones. Check out YouTube channels that shows these mountains and look at it as you've been looking for faces. You know, they're on the mountains, but not just human faces, but there's elephants and all kinds of stuff carved on these mountains. And there's a few talking about it. There was even newspaper articles that are 200 years old that when they first, I don't mean they, I mean the new people, 200 years ago, they started saying, hey, that mountain looks like a this or that, whatever. Well, they're supposed to. Like I said, these people had fun with this. They were stone carvers. They were stone carvers. Look at the mountains. Look at the large images, 20 feet wide, 20 feet tall. Look into the stone, past those pictographs that are only a few thousand years old. Look at the carving they did on those stones 50,000 years ago. Just look at the mountains. Folks, this will be the last video I make this year. It'll be the last video I make with a phone, because Joanna's got me working pretty good on that GoPro thing. But it could easily be the last video I make on rock art. I ain't feeling it. I ain't feeling it, folks. For 2 years, I've been saying the same thing. And I keep seeing the question on so many other folks' posts. Am I not saying it right? Let me try again, one more time. Everything about this tool is all about that little 1/4 inch right there. That's what the whole thing's about. Everything about this rock is all about that little 1/4 inch right there. Everything about this rock is about that tool right there. I can't go on and on until someone says they understand what I'm saying.